Hi everyone, welcome to Confessions of a Church Girl. My name is Joy, Joyous Joy, and thank you so much for tuning in this time. Today on the show, I have my pastor in the building, and this is someone I respect so much. So I don't just call him my pastor because I'm in his church. If I wasn't in his church, I would have been jealous or envious of whoever had the privilege of him being their pastor. So this is someone I really respect. He's a man of wisdom, he's a man of timber and caliber, you get? And I count it a great honor to have Pastor Gbenga Adeoye as my shepherd. So today we are going to be talking about something really interesting and something quite controversial, a very popular and unpopular opinion, depending on where you belong. So sit back as I bring to you Pastor Gbenga Adeoye. Don't go anywhere. So guys, like I said earlier, I have my pastor with me today and I am so excited and I can't wait to dive right into it. So I'll just let him introduce himself because I already said a few things about him earlier. So meet Pastor Gbenga. Pastor Gbenga, introduce yourself to us,
All right,
to our followers, our viewers.
Thank you so much, everyone. My name is Gbenga Ayodeji Adeoye. More importantly, I'm from Ekiti.
How is that very important?
Yeah, it's very important because I love pounded yam. Right, so and a way to a man's heart
is the belly.
is his belly, right?
Wow.
Okay, but jokes apart, my name is Gbenga Ayodeji Adeoye. I'm a young, loving, amazing guy.
You can see it,
right? I love, to inspire people. There's never any dull moment around me. I love to support people. Professionally, I'm a systems audit manager, right? Have a number of years of experience cutting across different, sectors, yeah, and across different continents as well. Then also, by the side, I'm a pastor.
By the side?
Yeah. I'm not a full-time pastor, right? So
when I said that my pastor is loaded, like you can understand what I'm trying to say. But by the side, I'm not understanding.
All right, okay. It's not a side also.
Exactly. You said by the side, like, I'm a presenter, but by the side.
Okay, additionally, in addition.
Okay, in addition, more like right, it. In addition,
I'm a pastor, right? I pastor some young folks, young adults, in Lagos, right? And then we, young folks who are globally minded and also are going places.
Now we be that
globally, right? That's the Redeemed Christian Church of God, House of Grace Assembly.
Yes.
And more importantly, I'm a husband to a very amazing, beautiful lady.
Singles life matters.
Pelumi Adeoye, and we are blessed with two wonderful and amazing seeds. Ayomitide, meaning my joy has come, and Iremi today, my goodness has come.
All right. One day I'll come on this show and tell you people that more importantly, I'm your wife and a mom. Until then, we move. So just go right into the next question. So, Pastor, have you always wanted to be a pastor?
I would not say I've always wanted to be a pastor, but what I would say is that I would say the hand of God has been, evident in my life. Even right while I was a young child, my mom do tell me a story, right, when I was about 2 years old or so, and I fell critically ill. I passed away for about 3 days. 3 days, lifeless.
Wow.
Yes, for 3 days. And on the third day, maybe I'm Jesus.
But I'm not Jesus.
But on the third day,
on the third
day, I came back to life, right? While I was in, and thank God for the kind of family we came from, Christian virtues, Christian background, Christian teachings and all that. I think that also just positioned my mind to be
ready,
Christ-centric in the way I do things and all that. So, and why did I say that? Because I remember when I was in primary school, then we would do drills, this Bible drills.
Yeah,
and all that.
Bible
I was always winning Bible drills. Length memory verses, long scriptures from a very young age, right? In primary school, in secondary school, I remember that the very first miracle I ever performed, not as a pastor, right, but a miracle, because I've always believed, if you read the book of my Bible story, right, it creates some practicality of, can these things be, can you practicalize this? And I remember then, I think I was in SS2, and there was a lady who was not feeling well, and then, my mom's school, and I just, maybe because I have some CSC background too, in CSC is synonymous with water.
Yes.
Baba Lola Olomi, right? Okay, so but then we were in Redeem, right? Because I joined Redeem when I was in primary school, maybe primary 4, so that's a long time ago. Water was the closest I could get. And I told her, I said, give me the water. And I just touched the water. I said, you are healed in Jesus' name. And she drank it and wow. And she was healed. That was in secondary school.
And you were in secondary school?
And I was in secondary school. In university, I just know that God, has been with me. So it was not like I desired
at some point
to say I want to be a pastor, but the pathway that God, orchestrated my life through, you'll just find out that
it wasn't perfect.
It wasn't perfect.
There has always been a knowing. You've always known.
I just knew that my life was to do God's purpose and God's will. So not necessarily to preside over people, because you know what? I don't limit, even as it is right now, I don't even restrain my impact to just the people I preside over in church.
Yeah.
I go to public places, I see people, inspire them. Someone is not feeling well, I just say, you are healed in Jesus' name. I just believe, I'm a witness, and so the power must follow everywhere you go.
So, Pastor, can I say that you were never in the world? Okay. So there was no transition from I was in the world, now I want to accept the call on God.
So I would say there was none of that. Like I said, my family was and I just see it's a privilege, right? It's a privilege because if there were things that also would inspire, like would want to influence you as a young guy.
Yes.
So bearing in mind that we are from a family of 4 boys, right? The only thing I can tell you boldly, right, that there was no jumping the fence to say, or there was no maybe, I know at some point when we were much younger, there were some little vices like you would see shots grain of maybe shots what's that thing of cigarettes,
and you would try,
right? Because I know those times you would take paper, like you take paper, you roll paper, you do matches. We did all that, right?
When you were much younger.
Yeah, when we were much more younger, I think so, and all of those things were just juvenile, but it was not like it was something you were doing practically. It was, you would be like, somebody just did this. It wasn't inspired.
You wanted to try.
I remember the first time I drank. I think the first time I drank, I would be say maybe it was in SS1 or so.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't drink.
Oh.
So the drinking I'm even talking about, I don't drink, right? The drinking I was talking about is, there's this thing they call social drinking. Social drinking. So people drink. So you get to a place, and because maybe most of the people there are drinking.
Oh, so you have to.
So it's not maybe you're drinking
at your office.
So you want to feel among and all that. And it was my cousins that their mom was celebrating their birthday, 40th birthday of them, and then I think that was the time when Smirnoff, it was Smirnoff Ice or I've forgotten this
Star Radler.
No, it's not Star Radler is just recent. I'm talking about Smirnoff Ice has been it's not
Snap.
It's not Snap 2 was just recent. I've forgotten the
brand.
But it was done by Good Ultimate. It's not Smirnoff. What did I mention before?
Smirnoff, Star Radler.
I think it was Smirnoff. I can't remember. I think it was Smirnoff, but there's another one, or Teasers.
Oh, I think I've heard
Teasers. So it looks very cool. You would not know it's
alcoholic.
It's an alcoholic drink. I'm talking. This is about 2001 thereabouts. Yeah. So so we went for their mom's birthday, and and we were. So they served all this, and it was a new drink then. It was a new drink. Oh, blah blah blah.
Try it out.
But you know what? I took that drink, and I'll not lie to you. My head started spinning, started spinning, started spinning soap. And I'm very grateful to God. There's no desire to say you want to drink alcohol. There's no desire to say you want to smoke. There's no desire to say you want to go clubbing. All of those things. Even while I was in university, I never. But maybe because of my personality, right? So I remember then when I started working in a particular organization, and so I have a friend. This guy is a very jovial guy, and because also I can be very jovial and whatever. So when we now start talking and all that, and then they'll say, you be scammer. How you be pastor? Why? Because my lips are black.
Oh, so wow.
He would say because my lips are black. Now my lips looks like this lips of someone that is smoking. And you know what brought about that conversation? I remember that year. That year was 2013.
Okay.
2013. There was a Champions League that was going on. It was on a Thursday, right? We're coming home, so we're supposed to catch up with the sister at Bagada, who would then take us. We're coming all the way from VI.
Okay.
So we dropped at Bagada, so the sister will catch up with us. And it was on a Thursday or on a Tuesday. And right at that Bagada, there was a Redeemed Church, and there was, I think, Champions League was going on.
Okay.
Champions League or one of those, I think it was a Tuesday, Champions League was going on. And Chelsea's team was playing. So he said we should go into a beer parlor there
to watch
the football, because people go there and watch football. And I told him, I said never. That we have two options here. Church, there's digging deep going on. And there's beer parlor to go and watch ball.
Wow.
I said the only two options is that either we enter the church, we attend digging deep, or we stand on the road here and wait for your sister. And wait for your sister. That if we stand on the road here and wait for your sister, God will understand.
Than for you to sit.
But if God should come and God meet us inside beer parlor,
how will you explain?
So it was angry. It was like, you be scammer. But
you were pretending like you had other shit.
Yeah. So it was like, but it's fun to be associated with them.
I think this is a very rare privilege. I believe that not a lot of people have this kind of privilege. I mean, from the explanation you made, it's obvious that you've never really been at it didn't come from you. Even if you tried those things, it wasn't from the place of, I'm looking forward to the day I would go clubbing. I'm looking forward to I've seen people doing this. There was no really peer pressure getting to you, and that was as a result of the virtues you had growing up, the kind of upbringing you have. And I think that's very applaudable.
Yeah. So I like you did mention, right? Sometimes, so the question is, were there times like Benga you felt like you also wanted a party? There were times like that.
Okay, I think I'm more interested in that part.
Yeah, were there times like you also felt like you wanted to do gyrating? There were those times, right? There were those times. But sometimes, there will just be something that will just constrain you. Like, for example, one of the places where I'd worked, there's something we usually do at one particular point in time. Maybe we do like a office retreat, hangouts. And part of it, there's always this gyration, dancing, clubbing, and all that. Like we can lock down. And yes, because I work with them, I just come, I sit down, and all that. And when they are serving their stuffs, even my colleague, they know me. They will go and bring some. The funny thing is, everywhere I've always worked, they've always identified with me as a pastor, even without me telling them that I'm a pastor. So I think there's something that just. I don't go about telling people I'm a pastor. I don't go about saying I pastor a church. I don't go, but you'll be amazed. Like, I think so.
Just like the way Peter was trying to deny Jesus, and they were like,
and they said, we
can tell.
Absolutely. So I think there's something that will just
fish you out.
And now that I used to be a president in school, like a pastor in school. So a lot of people know me, right? I remember one very moment like that, and I was like, Kai, I can't even say I want to shomo on the road. Now somebody would bam me, and what happened? I was doing one training, one place like that, and as I came out, that's how a guy was walking across to me, and next the guy was prostrating on the road, and I was like,
No, I don't blame them, because how will you see your papa and you don't want to pay homage?
You know, like, funny thing, the guy was not even a member of my fellowship
Wow.
in school.
Wow.
And the guy was frustrated, and the guy said, I've been looking forward to meeting you. Like, and seeing me today is blessed. And you know what? And my heart just, I was like,
imagine if you were like,
if I was on studs, I was on crazy jeans,
you had dreads.
I was on dreads, I was on chains and all that, I would have killed somebody's testimony.
Yes. Yes.
So,
yes.
There's something that just puts you in check. You can't. So because of that, you don't even know. Sometimes you can get into a place and there's somebody who knows you somewhere before, and the person will just sit down and will just be watching you. Let's see what he wants to take. So,
or like someone is struggling with something and they were looking forward to meeting you, that, oh, maybe if I can meet with this person, you know, I've been respecting him from afar, maybe he can put me through. And they see you in another light, they're like, if this person can be, who am I not to go through this?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so let me ask this very one. What do you think makes people cringe at the sound of you become a pastor or you marry a pastor?
All right, I think I'll start with one of you marry a pastor. For ladies, right? For ladies, I remembered one time like that. There's this notion that pastors can be very boring, very one-way traffic.
Yes.
So I remember there was this lady then that the mom will always, there are people that were trying to like pitch us together. They will say, because
be good together.
They know our family.
Oh, okay.
Also sometimes back in those days, you don't just marry a lady for beauty. More importantly, it was always more of the families that they married. I think that's changing in this age, right? Because most times you don't even know the family background. But back in those days, right?
Oh, pastor, Japa marriage.
Families
will meet at the registry. They just anything to Japa. They can divorce later, but they'll Japa.
So things. So, and the family knew us, and they were trying to like, oh, okay. But the lady said, I can never marry a pastor, because she said, is there a pastor who will take me to bar and say, now point and kill I want? You know what they call point and kill?
But I think the pastor will not take you to the bar, but you can always get point and kill. So it's like you can't eat your cake and you will get point and kill. So let's look at the end. The end is point and kill. That's the end goal. But you might not get it through, entering a club or like a lounge.
But I think it's going to be a boring sort of, but not necessarily so, right? Another reason also is that they feel that they will be sharing their husbands with so many people.
Yes.
They'll be sharing, right? And in terms of sharing your husband with so many people, you are sharing his emotions, because as a pastor, when you are talking to your people, you must be able to empathize with them, right? Your people tell you, I'm not feeling well, I've not eaten and all that. You will not say God bless you.
Cash.
You understand?
Even if there's nothing to eat at home.
Absolutely. I remember a time when we wanted to do something at church, and then we had AC at home that we wanted to install in my house. It wasn't in church there. I just told my wife, I said, we are dropping this AC. Like, she first looked at me like, brand new AC, arranging to fix in the house, and next thing I'm saying, God said we should drop it. So they don't want people that will just come up with God said. God said I should drop. Have you seen the movie Enoch?
Yes.
Where
yes. When they
pack your money. So and also I think some ladies are just not ready to take up responsibilities. So
I think the problem is that you should be with someone who your level of faith are aligning.
Very, very, very true.
Me now,
very true.
I think my faith can still carry some things.
But when it's getting to certain
things, I'm still going to think about it. It's not like I am not a believer or I don't have faith, but so I think if we are on the same level, we can synchronize very well.
But the funny thing is that sometimes if you check out many people who are pastors today, many of them never set out in life to become pastors. Right? Paul of Tarsus, for example, he was in pursuit of his career when there was an intervention and there was a redirection, right? So I think understanding is very key, right? But the thing about understanding is irrespective of, because now when we even say pastor, right? I have instances the lady might even be the pastor, not the guy.
Somebody sent me something or recent. She said that it is girls that say that I don't want to marry a pastor, I don't want to marry a pastor. They will be the one that will receive the call and they will now cover the guy.
That's it. No, since you know, because when we put this notion cap of pastor, sometimes we just restrict it to just the guys.
Yes, a lot of times.
But what about if it's the lady that take, you know, who is the pastor? So with the guy supports a very good reason why, irrespective of, you know, the gender or the sex, that might say I don't want to marry a pastor and all that. Maybe unwillingness to take up responsibility, because if you're going to marry a pastor, right, the pastor is not just the only one who's going to be responsible. You also, as the spouse, you have to be responsible. So you have to step into that responsibility. Are you willing to take up that responsibility? And the reasons why people don't want to take up responsibilities is because they don't want to be accountable, right? When you become a pastor, or when you wear the hat of a pastor, or the hat of a pastor's wife, or a pastor's husband, whichever case it is, now there's a hat of accountability that comes
with it.
It's, you know, you can't continue to do things the same way. So if you
like, be carefree again.
You've got it. So they feel like it's going to put a yoke on their freedom, right? I can't dress the way I want to dress. I can't go to places I want to go. I used to go to. I can't.
I'm sitting on this table because it feels really restricting. It feels like, you know, unlike other roles that it's just like you want to become a president, your wife automatically becomes the first lady. So we're wishing like, oh, you can do your thing.
But you know, when she becomes the first lady, she becomes restrained.
Exactly. Unlike other roles that, okay, if you become the manager of a particular office, do your thing, I'm going to be fine. But the way I talk, the way I walk, the way I dress, everything has to be streamlined. Like, I now have a checklist that I have to follow. Oh, you have to be like this. Right. And that feels like a lot of work.
Yeah. And another reason also is that sometimes people look at, they feel they are not competent enough, or they are not capable.
I feel like they will mess up.
Absolutely. I was reading a book by Rick Joyner earlier this morning, The Call. The title of the book is The Call, Rick Joyner. She has a series of books. There's another one she wrote, The Final Quest. That's one of the books that she's written. And in The Call, I think in chapter 2 or so, she was talking about something this morning about when people do not want to take up, or they feel that the reasons why people don't feel the manifest presence of God sometimes is because they feel maybe they are not capable, right? They feel incompetent and all that. And, you know, they're saying that you will not come into the fullness of that which God wants to do if you think it's just
about your ability or what you are able to do.
Yeah, you understand. So, for example, they might just look at him and say, you that used to smoke before, how did you receive the call? You that you are a womanizer.
Don't just like to be judged. We feel like if I'm not a pastor, I can do my thing anyhow. Nobody can really tell me, oh, you can do this, you cannot do this. But when you become answerable to a lot of people, you don't live for yourself anymore.
You become answerable to even the people that in the first instance, right? They would never have had any reason to have any sort of conversation with you, any say. But now, because you've come into that space, then someone who, for lack of better words, to say somebody who you don't consider to be of importance, right, or in your level, then now begins to demand. Like, for example, something happened recently now, because Pastor Iyadeboye refused to say anything about politics, and people that in their life to come,
in 10 lifetimes,
they will never measure up to that man, right? And they started, some even started cursing him.
Yeah, I think I saw some tweets.
Right? If the man was a professor or was a VC, you know your life is dependent on conduct yourself so that you can graduate from school. So, but it's what it is, right? And so if you have that call, or if anybody's, you know, if somebody is flashing the the lights to you. They have not yet on the lights. You know, there's a difference between flashing lights
You're
and
still seeing flashes.
yeah. So once you are in that kind of this thing, just start adjusting your heart that anything can happen. And God works in mysterious ways. I found out that it's the people that don't want to do it, I end up becoming it.
Sometimes I feel like maybe God's being unfair, but that's a conversation for another day. So, lastly, what do you think is the hardest thing about being a pastor?
Oh, so the hardest thing about being a pastor is number one, you live for others. You live for others, right? Sometimes you put a lot of pressure on yourself just because you want to come. Number one, you want to be a blessing to those people, right? As a pastor, sometimes I end up not even praying for myself.
I was going to ask that at the end of the times where you are praying for others, they are receiving the testimonies, you are watching people being blessed by the prayer you pray to God for them, and you are not seeing the answer to your own prayers.
It did happen. I remember, was it 2 years ago? Right? Yeah, it did happen. We're having a series of teachings in church, and that time I remember the topic was doing business with God. That was the topic. Part 1, part 2. That period, it was a time when, I kid you not, in the first service, in the first series of that teaching, if not mistaken, we had about 5 instant miracles or 7 right in that service. Wow. I had my manuscript, wanted to preach. I even had to ask one of the ministers, I said, come. Because when it was the second service too, the same thing happened, and I was like, please, that I have a topic that I have prepared. The title is Doing Business with God, part 1 and part 2. I've not preached this topic.
And God is just doing it.
And God is, and the minister had to tell me that, sir, that you call the topic Doing Business with God. That God said is the one in charge. I said, okay, no problem. You understand? But where I'm going to is that time, my son was seriously healed. It was healed that on the second service, right? The second week of that service, my wife would not even come with us to church because she had to stay with him. She was crying. At some point, she had to make mention like, God, why? And we are praying for other people. They are receiving like instant miracles, like instant healing. And at that point, you get to a point like you can't even pray for you are praying for your own children or your family members, and you are not saying, but you are like things that they could not do before.
They're not doing
it. Was not, and I never knew about it. God just gave me the word of knowledge. This is this, and straight up,
Do you see me? I'm still here. Can you see me?
So it was very challenging, right? Because it's like you are so much invested into the lives of others. Into the lives of others, and there are those moments as a pastor you feel like sometimes it's like the people you lead, right? Or they just have an expectation that pastor must understand and pastor must always be there to help.
We are the people.
Whereas as a pastor, you would have expected, let's show, Paul saying that, come now, the person that is doing the work, try and oil his wheels, right? Try and service the guy. You understand?
Because he's giving to you.
He's giving. And how are you giving? You're giving both spiritually, you're giving mentally, you're giving emotionally, you are giving. Is it financial? That one is another
story for another
bottle of your pot. Is it kettle of fish? Yeah, because you expend for people. You understand? But it's always a blessing to be able to do these things, right? And as a pastor, sometimes when there are things you desire to see and you're not getting the outcomes, because as a pastor also you might then begin to check that, God, what am I not doing well?
Right.
What am I not doing? Because also there could be this competitive tendencies.
Yes.
There could be these competitive tendencies, and it could be challenging to you, just like you see the guy with the parable of the seeds, right? Talents 2, 5, and 1. I'm sure the guy who had one would have like, what can I even do with this one? You understand?
And he just went to hide it. I can't spoil let me just drop
I can't come and kill myself. So those things are actually there, right? Then also the act of people sometimes forget the good deeds you do. as a pastor. People forget. It's easy for people to forget. Humans would always move on.
Right.
Humans always move on. And one thing I always say to myself is that if God has given me the capacity to help or to be of impact in a life, I don't owe it to say you must pay allegiance to me for the rest of your life.
Right.
Because I believe God only made it possible for that moment of time.
So you've gotten to that point where you see yourself as only the vessel being used.
Because people would always say, me, if you want people to remain
loyal to you,
for the rest, you'll just be wishing, and that could also limit you from investing. So, see, I am always very happy to invest in people, and I thank God that the ability is given to me to always invest in people in any dimensions. I'm not always looking for any kind of payback, because I know when my payback will come, my payback is God.
From God.
So God is my payback.
What is our reward?
So when God pays back, whatever,
and I think you can only confidently say that God is my reward when you know that, okay, I allow myself to be used of God.
Absolutely.
So if I was doing it grudgingly, I cannot confidently say that God will be the one to reward you, but because you have let yourself be used of God.
But the question is, were there times when, Pastor, you feel depressed? Yes. Were there times you felt like
you want to drop the call of God?
Yes. Were there times you felt like
running away?
Yes.
Were there times you feel like God has forsaken me?
Yes.
Oh, was that so? As this is not supposed to be there, but I just remembered. So as Christians, we struggle. There are times when we're like praying and we feel like this prayer is not connecting. Is this something I did? Has the Holy Spirit forgotten me?
Yes.
So there are times when you pray and that prayer is not sweet, it's not flowing.
Absolutely.
We're good. We're fine.
No. So I think I would advise that book I was reading, right? I never even knew we were having this, because I read that book about 3 a.m. this morning when I woke up. I read it till about maybe 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. when I was reading the book this morning. And so in the chapter 2, I think the title of that chapter 2 was Two Witnesses. That's where Rick Joyner was talking about when we feel inadequate and all that, and sometimes that we just come to God and we feel that, it's because of something that I've done wrong. And you begin, and you see, you are the only one that is just putting about something that I did, but that there is a loving Father who is just waiting for. See, all he's just doing is, don't run away, just come to him. And he said he's willing to just take you through that path, right? He says because the reason is because, yes, as pastors, as ministers of the gospel, there's a high demand for consecration, right? But also there are times that we also, for lack of better word, there's a high demand for consecration, right? To be focused, to be diligent, all on Jesus, and all of that, right? But when things don't go as planned, right? When things don't go as expected, right? You don't beat yourself beyond necessary. Because why? And the challenge is because, people around us will always place a lot of demand on. And the unfortunate thing is that they will place a high level of demand on you, but the people who are saying, let us stone him, let us castigate him,
like Jesus did.
If you check their own life, the thing they are accusing you for, maybe it is stealing, maybe it is lying, maybe if it is wrong one way, maybe it is fornication. They are the grand masters of those things.
I think the devil has messed so much with our hearts that when we do anything wrong, the only thing that comes from, we don't remember that we have a loving Father.
Absolutely.
We remember that we are wrong, that we should be condemned. And I think what has helped me in that part, because I'm somebody who feels bad a lot, so especially when I know that I have done wrong before God, I just feel like God sees my intention. Like, there's this part where he said, he knows the misdeed before you even do it at all, before you even thought about it. He has seen the end from the beginning. So God sees our intentions beyond the actual actions, because what the devil just wants to do is to make you feel incompetent,
make you feel it makes you his idea is just to rubbish you. There's that scripture where it says, and Joshua the high priest appeared, right? And the devil was pointing an accusation finger. And what did the angel of God do? He said they should remove the sackcloth, remove the clothes away from him, take off that garment away from him.
Remember that,
right? Part. So and that's it. But as a pastor, when you find yourself in that space and all that, sometimes it will be very challenging for you. And you just feel like, oh, I don't want to talk.
Or especially when after doing something wrong, you have to go up and people are saying, come and bless me. Which blessing do I have that?
Are there times that you don't even feel like, as a pastor, there are times you don't even feel like maybe you want to even open the Bible?
Wow.
Because you feel like things, but you know what? But when you get to that state, right, what is the remedy to doing it? When you don't feel like opening the Bible, open the Bible.
The remedy to not wanting to do it is to actually do it.
Yeah.
I think this has been a very interesting conversation so far. Like, I have gotten a lot of clarity myself, and I'm sure that the people watching this have gotten so much lessons from this. And thank you so much, Pastor, for doing this. Like, it was very impromptu. Although Pastor is a very busy person, I've been running after him, but I intentionally did not give him the full picture of what we're going to do. So this was almost unprepared for, and I think we had like a very insightful time. So thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much, Pastor. And I hope that next time when I call you, I'm going to get you.
Sure. I'm not God. God is the one that said, when you call, I will answer.
So, Pastor, you will not answer. Wow, that's on record. So thank you so much for watching.
I'm available.
Thank you for watching. Right. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Until next time I come your way. Bye.
Bye. Peace.